Hello, world, neighbors, friends, families, colleagues. My name is Dr. Lorelei Walker, and I am the Director of Public Health Training for the Social Safety Initiative. I founded this nonprofit last year in July, and we spread the network of knowledge. Right now, this video is a part of a series that is really tracking. What our council is doing is tracking all the science that's just flooding in. It's a scientific renaissance. And taking that with all of the public health recommendations and how public health is really managing all of the epidemics around and the recommendations that governments have to make trade-offs on and that are different by locality. And putting that into something that you can use when you navigate your social space, because your social space is a bit different than the other person's social space. And so we do a what to know, what to do, and how to do it. We currently have a free guidebook on safe cleaning, sanitizing, and disinfecting in the era of COVID-19, because one of the unintended consequences of this last year has been a lot of misuse of indoor pesticides, which are called disinfectants. We're going to talk a little bit about that in this video. We have another guidebook. It is the guidebook to practicing public health protocols. Yes, I think that's the name of it. And it's about social safety, social hygiene, and it goes through what this video series has been covering in a more direct, targeted fashion to teach you what to know, what to do, and how to do it. And we have that one, I think, subsidized with our donors. I think it's like $50 on our website. But if you've got groups and you want to get it out to, contact us. And we do these trainings. So today, let's talk about protocols. We did what to know, what to do, how to do it. So now we know enough science education and disease transmission information about aerosols and about viral load. We know a little bit about risk assessment, so where hot zones are and kind of how we can mitigate that and stay away from them, or at least reduce our risk, because now we're really going to talk about mitigating them. So there's kind of two pieces to this. There's if you're hosting a site, and then there's if you're just being indoors in a site. So what we have is we think about it as training for site operators. It could be anybody from hosting a party in your house to make decisions about church events, or if you're work site leaders, if you're managers, and you really need to have some training on how interpersonal transmission works and this risk assessment and protocols, so that as you make decisions about how to manage your staff schedule and the foot pattern and the flow and how that changes as occupancy changes, that'll help you do it. That's the site training, site operator training. We also have the Social Safety Advocate. It's a certificate for individuals, and that's more of what I've been taking you through with these videos and what the guidebook is focused on. So you can contact us about each one. But now to protocols. Thank you, coffee. So, with protocols, there's 8 of them. If you watch Covella versus the World, you can see like all of them kind of being used. You don't have to use them all at the same time, but let's do some examples of the important ones. So, we have spit, splatter, spray, and aerosol. Indoors. Clean air. Clean air is a protocol. So we know where the threat is, and we know what the threat is. We know predictably where the threat is, those hot zones. And so now we want to make it controllable. So we get the air moving. If you've got fans going, we want to suck the air up, not push it down. Feels really nice to have the air pushed down on you, especially, I believe, I've lived in Pennsylvania and in Florida, and in Pennsylvania, heat rises, so everything was kind of made for airflow to go up. In Florida, it was made for airflow to get pushed down, if I remember correctly. And so the ways in which your fans work and the way that airflow goes is important to know because you want to suck stuff out. If you have a filter and you have a filter in your house, then MERV 13 is that grade that will catch viral particles. Now, you've got lower grades. Maybe your system doesn't handle that high of a filter, that thickness. It's still good though. And you're catching a lot of other stuff. We got bacteria floating around in our air. We got pollen. We got wildfire smoke season coming. That's going to be a hard one. And we've got pollen. Everybody said that, but we've got a lot of pollen here. So you want to make sure your filter fits. That's a pretty critical one because if you've got a lot of air going through, you can reduce your viral load and your exposure just in the base case by making sure you have a good seal around that filter and just replace it as normal. You don't have to replace it extra specially often. You also want to make sure your vents and your fans work, like especially in the bathroom. People come in, they use the bathroom, take their mask off, they wash their face. Don't forget there's other stuff that spreads in the bathroom. And so you want to make sure that that vent works. And so interpersonal interactions, you know, if you have a long line at the ladies' bathroom and it's not well ventilated and you're all kind of standing close together and we're not really wearing masks, you know, vaccinations, we're doing pretty good on those rates. Vaccination efficacy after a couple of months kind of goes down. And people have kids. Gosh, women, we always have kids with us. Kids can't get vaccinated and they're always slopping stuff around. So that high risk area, that's an area where it's going to be a higher risk. You're going to want to try and avoid those and look for areas more like kind of the Target bathrooms or the airport bathrooms. If you're in an airport where air's going up, if you flush the toilet, kind of do it on your way out. So it's not just doing all this, because the more of that shared air you get through the course of the day builds up the viral load, and that might tip you into infection. But it might not if you keep your load down. So this is how we keep the load down. Hand blowers, when it comes to ventilation, if you can use the towel and hopefully put it in the compost, but if you can use the towel, that's better, especially grabbing the handle, mainly because there's other stuff on the handle, not really a COVID problem, but there's other stuff. Those blowers really make the air system chaotic all around us. So, and sometimes they're hard on the hearing. So getting a really good hand washing down. Now, I'm going to take a moment on hand washing in a second, but we're still on ventilation. Ventilation is an important one because as we all are either indoors because it's like a heat dome here in Seattle, which I never really knew that word until it happened. And we were in a heat dome for a couple of days. Everyone's trying to find any air conditioning they can. We've got all portable units and they're not made with like high grade filters. Wildfire smoke season comes in. Now we're just all breathing everything, pumping it in and out. You got to purify your indoor air. That's where technology helps. So you need education, training, and gear. Like when you drive a car, you get the driver's manual, you go through driver training, but you want your car to have like good tires. You want it to be usable. You want to know how to use it. So what can you do for your indoor air? You got your filter. You can even put a filter on a box fan. You can open up the windows. Just make sure you're not doing it in a way where grandpa, like the kids breathing right next to grandpa as they sit to each other and talk and play a puzzle, you know, for 30 minutes. The air up and going down, but you can get a filter running that way too. And you get the air running in your house. You got people over, run it 2 hours ahead of time, the whole time during the day, even without the air conditioning on or the heat on. Keep that air moving. Get people outside. But you need an air purifier. You really need an air purifier. Now, there's different kinds out there. I'm going to talk about this one in a different episode because this one is the protocol about indoor air and ventilation. It's 10 minutes long, I'm noticing already, so I'm going to cut it off here and we'll do another section video and see if we can pick up the conversation. Make sure to subscribe and follow us on LinkedIn. Those are the two main routes that we're using for communication. Our website's a kerfluffle right now. It's there. You can buy the guidebook. It works. It's just not as easy to figure out all the stuff that we do. So thanks, we're gonna be okay together, and wait for the next video.